China's TikTok app is a national security threat. Trump wants to either ban it or get a US company to buy it. But China is fighting back. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. TikTok. 8 years ago when I started China Uncensored, if you had told me that I would spend multiple episodes talking about a Chinese-owned social media app that's more popular than Instagram, I would have said, what's Instagram? I'm not an early adopter. If you've seen my TikTok videos, you'd understand why. There are well-established security concerns with TikTok, from how much data it harvests to where that data goes in China, and most important, how TikTok's Chinese parent company, ByteDance, is beholden to the Chinese Communist Party. Those security concerns are why the US military has banned TikTok. The Biden campaign has told their staff to delete TikTok from their personal and work phones. And the Senate unanimously passed a bill to ban federal employees from using TikTok on government devices. It's also the reason that President Trump issued an executive order that would basically ban TikTok by prohibiting transactions with its parent company, ByteDance, on September 20th. The looming TikTok ban galvanized an effort to sell TikTok's US operations to an American company, like Microsoft. But that deal fell through. Instead, TikTok chose to go with Oracle and Walmart. 2020 just keeps getting weirder. But just as things were looking up for TikTok, the US Commerce Department announced last Friday that they were in fact going to ban US transactions with TikTok and Chinese mega app WeChat on September 20th, starting with banning both apps from US app stores. You know who didn't take that well? My favorite Chinese state-run media, the Global Times. It wrote that the Trump administration has gone to extremes to turn the US market into a slaughterhouse for Chinese firms. I can always count on the Global Times for colorful imagery. But when the Commerce Department said it would ban the TikTok app, that served as a push for TikTok to work on a deal with Walmart and Oracle. But that could be hard. I've been through my fair share of group projects. I know how it goes. TikTok, Walmart, and Oracle are supposed to work together, but Walmart just goofs off. TikTok is constantly on their phone, and all the work ends up falling on me. I mean Oracle. So, now that there's an immediate deadline, they have to pull an all-nighter to finish the deal. And Trump gave them an A for approved, plus a 1-week extension on the TikTok ban so they could finalize things. So everything's good, right? Well, not so fast. And I'll tell you why after this short commercial break. Welcome back. So Trump has approved a deal for Oracle and Walmart to buy TikTok, at least in theory. But in practice, it's a lot more complicated. As of when we recorded this video, we don't actually know what's in the TikTok deal. There have been outright disagreements between the companies over who will own TikTok. That's because ByteDance isn't going to sell TikTok directly to Oracle and Walmart. Instead, they're going to set up a new US-based company called TikTok Global. Oracle and Walmart will own 20% of TikTok Global, and ByteDance will own 80%, according to ByteDance. But according to an Oracle executive vice president, Americans will be the majority, and ByteDance will have no ownership in TikTok Global. Wait, how would that work? Well, it turns out that American investors already own 40% of the Chinese company ByteDance, which owns TikTok. And when I say American investors, I mean huge investment firms like Sequoia Capital. Which leads to the question, why do American investors own 40% of ByteDance? Oh, right. So if TikTok Global is 20% owned by Oracle and Walmart, and the rest is owned by ByteDance, which itself is 40% American investors, then you could describe TikTok Global as technically being majority American owned. But that's a little sneaky. especially when Oracle claims that ByteDance won't technically own TikTok Global, but ByteDance contradicts that, saying TikTok Global will be 100% owned by ByteDance. According to reports, 4 out of the 5 directors on the board of TikTok Global will be Americans, like the Oracle founder, Larry Ellison, which would theoretically give Americans more control over the company. But even American directors might have their own separate business interests that make them beholden to China. So in this proposed Oracle-Walmart deal, the ownership and control of TikTok Global is tricky. And ownership aside, what about the national security concerns that led to the whole TikTok ban in the first place? Who controls the data? Well, according to reports, Oracle would control the user data and guarantee its security. But again, since we don't know exactly what's in the deal, it's hard to say right now whether Oracle can guarantee user data security, which leads to the bigger problem. We don't really know if there's going to be a deal after all. Yeah, Trump said last week he approved the deal in concept, but after the conflicting reports on who would own TikTok Global, Trump said that China must cede control of TikTok or he won't make the deal. And it's not just up to Trump. The final deal also has to be approved by CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. That's the government group that reviews foreign investments for national security concerns. And they opened an investigation into TikTok last year. But getting the U.S. government's approval could be the easy part, because the real problem will be with the Chinese Communist Party. And I'll explain how after this break. Welcome back. All the complexities of getting the U.S. government to approve the TikTok deal, that could be the easy part, because China has to approve the TikTok Oracle deal too, which only makes sense. If the Communist Party can make one of China's most internationally successful private tech companies do this, it's not going to just let them sell a huge chunk of their business without the party's approval. And the Chinese Communist Party made that very clear last month when they implemented new tech export restrictions to cover TikTok's recommendation algorithm. ByteDance has already said that it will not transfer the algorithm to Oracle as part of the TikTok deal. But that might not be enough. We don't really know what the Chinese Communist Party thinks about the deal. Earlier this month, Reuters reported that China would rather see TikTok close than a forced sale. And my favorite state-run media, the Global Times, published an editorial called "Say No to U.S. Robbery of TikTok," which complained about Washington's bullying style and hooligan logic, and accused the U.S. of wanting to enjoy global technological hegemony forever. But China, also a major country, will not yield to U.S. intimidation and will not accept an unequal treaty that targets Chinese companies. Okay, I think I understand. The TikTok deal is basically the app version of the opium war. I guess social media is pretty addictive. Here's another potentially bad sign for the TikTok deal. Last week, the Chinese Communist Party published new guidelines for private businesses in China, basically demanding loyalty to the party from the private sector. It calls on party members to educate private business people, to weaponize their minds with Xi's socialism ideology, and says that the private sector needs politically sensitive people who will firmly listen to the party and follow the party. So the message to TikTok and other private Chinese companies is clear. It doesn't matter how big you get or how many American investors you have. In the end, you must follow the party. So if the party doesn't approve the TikTok deal, there's nothing ByteDance can do about it. I'm not saying that the Chinese Communist Party is definitely going to cancel the ByteDance deal. They might not. But it wouldn't be the first time the party suddenly scuttled a deal with the U.S. In May of 2019, the U.S. and China were nearing a trade deal agreement when China tried to backtrack. That led to months of additional tariffs and negotiations before both sides signed a much reduced Phase 1 trade deal. Feels like that trade deal happened a million years ago, but it was actually just in fact this past January. Exactly the same time when the Chinese Communist Party was covering up the coronavirus, or as I call it, the CCP virus. Memories. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen with the TikTok deal, or whether there will be a deal at all. But if there's a deal, one thing's for sure. The biggest winners will be the investors. And now it's time for me to answer a question from one of you, a fan who supports China Uncensored on the crowdfunding website Patreon. Joe Roy asks, do you believe that the troubles in the line of actual control is just a distraction from the real area of concern for China, which is the naval struggle with India? You know, that's an interesting one. It's true that China has been focused on expanding its navy and on challenging India with its string of pearls across the Indian Ocean. But the line of actual control along the India-China border has historically been incredibly important to the Chinese Communist Party as well. After all, India and China fought a war along that border back in 1962. And it goes back even further than that. Have you heard of the 5 Fingers of Tibet? It's an idea that goes back to Mao Zedong in the 1940s. Basically, Tibet is the palm of the hand, and the 5 fingers are Ladakh, Nepal, Sikkim, Bhutan, and Arunachal Pradesh. So for the hand to be fully functional, the Chinese Communist Party has to liberate all of those areas. And by liberate, I mean control. And if they can't do that directly, they will try to do it by bringing those areas under China's control politically and economically. If you'd like to hear more about the 5 Fingers of Tibet and what's going on with the India-China border conflicts, check out the latest episode of our podcast, China Unscripted. I'll put a link to that below. Thanks for your question, Joe. And thank you for watching. If you want to hear me answer your question on the show, sign up on patreon.com/China Uncensored and support the show for as little as $1 an episode. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.